Friday night basketball was a part of my life as long as I can remember, because my parents, they were Michigantown Gander fans. My mom went to Michigantown. My uncle played on the 1932-33 team, and so basketball was given Friday night, given.
Central Indiana, home of crops, cold and countryside, and above it all, basketball. First played in Crawfordsville, Indiana in 1896, the game almost grew overnight and into the state's passion. As a state built in agriculture, basketball was the perfect game for Indiana. It was played indoors during the cold winters. It never interfered with harvest or planting season, and it was easy to field a team. Even the smaller schools could scratch together a 5-man lineup. And from these beginnings, basketball quickly spread across the state. From small town to small town, each separated only by the farmland between them. Then came the legends. Legends like Knight, Keady, Bird, Robertson decorate Indiana's history to this day. Much of that history is still felt in the marble floors and in the field houses of schools across the state, where many games feel like they couldn't have taken place 50 years ago. Today, we visit Michigantown, the Michigantown Ganders.
Hey, I know Amy's put a lot of work into this. You know, she's taken a lot of effort, a lot of time. We're producing this documentary. You know, it might even be on ESP one of these days, you know, so keep an eye out. But one of the reasons we're doing it now, and one of the reasons that I'm talking today, is that I'm one of the last survivors.
I'm Carolyn Kinsler Fields, and I went to school here from first grade to 10th grade, and then we consolidated into Clinton Central, and I went to Clinton Central for my junior and senior year.
I'm Don Blanche. I graduated from Clinton Central in '64. I went to Michigantown through grade school through the 7th grade, and then in the 8th grade they had consolidated into Clinton Central. So I finished up and graduated from Clinton Central.
I'm Kathy Blanche, and I graduated from Frankfort in 1967. That I have many relatives that live in the area.
My name is Pat Weaver Newton. I graduated in 1957, and I was a cheerleader when Michigantown won their county tourney in 1955.
I guess I'm Larry Newton. I graduated in '58 in the top 10 of my class. There was only 11, of course, but...
My name is Sam Fields, and when I started school, first house to the left here, I'm 90 years old, and my memory sucks.
Well, you look great to me. You look great to me.
Hi, my name's Carol Shoup. I was married to Tom Shoup, was in 2 classes before me. I lived in the rural area, and I was the last class in 1959 to graduate from Michigantown.
I'm Marilyn Shoup, and I graduated from Clinton Central in 1960, first graduating class. And I was never a Gander. I went to Forest School 6 miles from here, but we were rivals, you know, in athletic events, and I was a Forest Bobcat.
And Marilyn is my sister-in-law, married to Denny, and we've been good friends for a long time.
Sure have.
Denny Shoup, I went to Michigantown till the end of my sophomore year, and then I went on to Clinton Central and graduated in 1961. Never had any idea, didn't have any goal, didn't have even hardly a dream of playing college basketball. I mean, I didn't hardly know anyone around here that had ever played. So I didn't have no idea that I might have a chance, and but I took advantage of my opportunity at Clinton Central, and if it hadn't have been for Clinton Central, I would have never played college basketball.
This building without the gym was built in 1907, and then they built the gym in 1924. So it's 100 years old. It was a small school, so we knew everybody in the school, and we always went to all the ball games, and we all loved going here.
I don't think there was any typical day. They were all different. There was always something going on.
We started dating when I was a senior and he was a junior, and we have been married now 65 years.
We knew everybody, and everybody followed this Michigantown school and the basketball because it was the only thing there.
Well, we rode the bus, and so that was the start of the day. Every day was riding the bus, and of course then we rode the bus home. My classes, from what I remember, was about 25 most of the years.
They did go on school buses, but they were called hacks then, when the school first started.
And in the wintertime, was that hard?
It was, but they had wood burning stoves on the hacks.
The Ganders got their name by the sports writer of the Frankfurt Times, and he first called us the Michiganders, and then he shortened it later to Ganders. But the local people weren't happy with that. They were pretty upset with it at the time and threatened to egg him if he came back to Michigantown. But as time went on, they went along with it and liked it, and then in 1933, when the basketball team won their sectional, they had a parade down through the town, and the Lofner family brought a gander, and the gander rode on a truck down in the parade. And then through the years, the gander has been a big part of the Michigantown.
Our class colors were red and white. Our color was carnation. We were the last class that got to take a senior trip, and we were lucky enough that we got to go to Washington and New York and Niagara Falls, which was a great trip. We worked all through the 4 years of our high school to make money to be able to go on that trip, and I don't know how we did it, but I guess we did.
This was one that was built in 24, and I say that I've mentioned before, this was the birth of basketball. This was it. This was the start of it. And I mentioned before that a lot of the teams that I played in the South and the Southeast had Indiana players on them because our basketball was more advanced in state of Indiana.
They played basketball above a business. It was a grocery store at that time. They played ball upstairs, and that room is still there, and we have pictures of it.
Wilbur Rule was my favorite teacher, and that's the only class I studied in because I knew I wasn't going to go to college. Super teacher. I mean, he worked with you, and we collected insects and leaves off the tree.
And he would also, if your grades were not as good as maybe your parents thought they should be, he would tell you that you could do extra credit things to increase your grade, and a lot of us did that. He would always do that to help you get your grade up.
Coach Rule was a tremendous basketball coach for the Michigantown Ganders. His family lived in our community, and Mr. Rule went to Michigantown School, and his senior year he was on a county championship team that was coached by Mr. Cole, who was on the 1933 sectional, regional, and team that played in the state finals at Butler Fieldhouse. Following Mr. Rule's graduation from Michigantown, he went to Purdue for 4 years and then came back and was named the coach of Michigantown softball, basketball, track and field. He was the coach. And during the 40s, he had successful teams. His 40s all culminated in the 1950 team that was probably the best team that ever played at Michigantown. In the 50s, Michigantown Gander basketball was again outstanding, winning a couple of county tourneys and several outstanding players, one of which, Mike Wilson, was one of the all-time best players. Sam Fields, Mark Newell, Bob Crenshaw, Glenn Dunn were others that played in the 50s, and Coach Rule was very well respected among the county schools and across the state, and I was so fortunate that he came down after, along with coaching high school basketball, he came down and coached our 8th grade team, and we had a winning record, 12-0, won the county tourney, and I can only attribute my interest, my success, my passion for basketball from this time that I got to spend with Coach Rule as an 8th grader, then as a freshman, and then as a sophomore, to power me to go out and compete and be a part of a successful Clinton Central basketball program.
Some of the other thing was when you were a senior, you were allowed to have class cords, which were yellow corduroy cords. The corduroy pants were always purchased, generally at Penny's or through the catalog. Traditions that we also don't have today, a lot of. When you became a freshman, you were able to meet with whoever made the sweaters, but you picked out your color, and every freshman had a class sweater. Every sophomore had a class ring, and that was a pretty costly investment back in those days. I couldn't afford one, my folks couldn't afford one, so Tom bought me one for my birthday, on my sophomore birthday.
Max Ritchie was probably the most outstanding athlete. He actually went to the 1956 decathlon at Wabash, and he was the only high school boy to finish that decathlon against guys like Milt Campbell, Reverend Bob Richards, and but he was an outstanding athlete.
We always had the prom in the gym, and we would decorate with crepe paper and hang things from the ceiling, and we did do a lot of decorations there. And you didn't go out to eat before the prom. You just came to prom and had food there.
Mr. Reed had been our principal for years, and he didn't approve of dancing. So most of us didn't know how to dance.
I guess with just 10 kids in your class, you were all the class pets, and you were always known for what you could do and what you were responsible for. A typical Friday night, that was the game of the week. You didn't go to 14 games during the week then. You went to one game. It was a special game, and everybody went.
To be a Gander, it was just exciting to come to the ball games and have all the big crowd. We used to have, this place was filled.
It was difficult to get tickets to a sectional or any county tourney.
They had a section so wide, so many tickets were sold, and kids in junior high didn't get a go. But, well, that old clock, that's the scoreboard. And as you can see, it gets down to half a minute. So you didn't know when the game was ending because you had 30 seconds on the clock.
Frankfort, all of the teams came together and yelled against Frankfort, all the small schools. And so it was so fun.
We would schedule to play Circleville, and instead of playing it at Circleville or Michigantown, they would get scheduled at Kirkland. So we would have more seating and have a bigger gym, a more regulation type gym at the time. And then the other one that we played a lot in was Jefferson.
Yeah, the score on the scoreboard at Michigantown is left at 27-26, I believe, and it represents the 1933 team who beat Jefferson for the sectional championship, 27-26. Then had the opportunity to go to the state championship at Butler Fieldhouse.
And if by chance we happened to have beaten the Ganders, some of the kids went to a phone at the back of the soda shop, and they would call a lady here in Michigantown who was a very vocal supporter of the Ganders, and they would say, hey, how'd the game go tonight, or what was the score? And then they'd hold the receiver out so we could all listen to her go off, and we'd laugh.
Basketball season, they would always have a sports banquet in the gym, and they would decorate it with tissue paper. All the tables were decorated, and it was just packed. It seemed like everybody from Michigantown was there at the sports banquet.
On you Ganders, keep that ball in line. Send the ball right to the goal, that's fast, it sure is fine.
Well, the dope bucket was originated, I think, in the 40s by a Vernon plumber here in Michigantown. And he decided it would be nice if we would have a traveling award between the teams in the county. All of them except Frankfort and Rossville, they were excluded from that. So if you go to a game and you win the game from a team that had the bucket, you got to bring the bucket back to your school, paint it, put your school athletes' names on them, and so on and so forth. And you kept that bucket until you lost the next game to another county rival.
Our scores were never very high, 20s and 30s, but the rivalry between the smaller schools was really something, especially when we had our mascots, and of course they had a gander that all the teams wanted to get a hold of him and steal him, and one time they did.
But one night after the game, our gander came up missing, and we were at Kirkland, and we couldn't find him for 2 or 3 days. But we finally found him somewhere out in the country. The Kirkland boys had taken him and done something with him.
It's pretty heavy with paint. It changed hands quite often.
Sometimes you would paint it, and the next day on a Saturday night you had a game and they beat you, so the paint wasn't even dry.
We usually played each of these county schools at least twice during the year, so we could always, if we got beat over there, we could always think we could beat them at home. So it was kind of we had 10 teams, so there was about 20 games a year pretty much within the county.
Everybody wanted to play Frankfort, and we would have terrific yelling sessions with the fans. Even the adults would yell.
And played Frankfort. Frankfort had a little, what they called a hot dog, a little dashing, what do you call it. And our gander ran that dog right off the floor. And of course, we love that, you know.
Our last game with Forest, we tied at the end of the game. Glenn Dunn had fouled one of the Forest players, and it was Harold Orr. Forest coach calls timeout and sends a senior, Coonrod, to the free throw line and makes both of them. There's only 12 minutes left in the game, seconds, and we missed, but they scored 2 points from that.
And so you still remember
I still remember.
Yes, he did.
We got, well, I better not say it.
Oh yes, he was an excellent basketball player. He knew the game, and he liked to play. Like he still was playing here at this gym when he was in his 70s. That's how much he liked to play basketball. And he was a good shooter, and he just lived and ate basketball. He still does.
We have been married 61 years. We'll be 62 in, I really didn't have my eye on him when he was here at Michigantown. I mean, I knew who he was, but my mother worked at Clinton Central in the cafeteria. And she came home one day and she said, I think I've got a guy picked out for you. She said, he is so nice looking and he's so polite. And he always says hi to me. And it's Denny Shoup. And I said, well, yeah, he's a good guy, but I don't think he knows I exist, But, it wasn't too much till I got a call and he asked me to go to the movies with him. Okay, the rest is history.
I love the game, and I played more, like I say, I played out here in this gym till I was 70 years old. Up with high school guys up and down the court.
So Denny was a fantastic player, and like none other, I would say. He was quick and he was dedicated, and of course that's all that Denny did. He just had a ball in his hand continually.
Yeah, he was good shooter. We had some good players on that team. One of the fellows actually got a Division I scholarship, one of the senior players. And then the next year, Denny kind of had to start. He was a returning starter and was, had to carry the load quite a bit as far as scoring. And
Denny was, was an outstanding, but I taught him all I knew. Not all he knew, but all I knew.
Of course, we played Kentucky, which had Pat Riley, who became NBA and an NBA coach, and now he's a general manager of the Miami Heat. Louis Dampier was from Southport, Indiana. I played against him at Kentucky. He was All-State, All-American, played with the Louisville Colonels in the ABA. And I played against Cassie Russell, who was at Michigan, that was a NBA All-Star, Hall of Famer. And I played against a fellow that played basketball at Ole Miss that was Donnie Kessinger, who ended up and played shortstop for the Chicago Cubs for 15 years.
Last year of Michigantown was 1959-60, and so that was when I was a sophomore, and that's when we learned that we probably the year before that we were going to have to go to a consolidation of 5 different schools to Clinton Central, and I will probably have to say no one wanted to do that because we only had 2 more years.
And the Michigantown Lions Club, one of their big projects was trying to save this gym, save the building. And so he worked with the Clinton Central School Board and the township trustee here in Michigantown.
We've been hearing about consolidation. Pretty worried about that, you know. I would say most of the kids at these schools out here, because they'd all had a chance to play at their school and get a chance to play the game, I would think that they all didn't want to go out there. As it came time, I was probably a little more positive about the possibility of going to Clinton Central because I thought I could make the basketball team.
That was, at that time, it was pretty controversial. There were a lot of people really didn't want to lose their individual schools.
And we had one construction worker that was, all the kids really liked him. And so he was the one that made the bulldog. They were deciding between kangaroos and the bulldogs. Where they got kangaroos, I don't know, but thank goodness they chose the bulldog.
70 plus boys who went out for the team. And believe me, there were some tears.
So I was very pleased to be able to make the team, have a chance to get that Clinton Central Bulldog jersey, and you know, I thought I would have an opportunity to play against bigger schools, better competition. So go out there, take a look at it. Denny Shue on the team. On the team, how did I do it? Denny Shue made this team out there. Hey, I made it. I'd never felt any better when I went home and could tell my dad and mom that I made the Clinton Central Bulldogs. Found out here that this consolidated school won the sectional, and when we went through Frankfort, merchants and people were standing along the street when our buses went through Frankfort to go to Lafayette.
We were blessed with some really good teachers and administrators who kind of guided us through the process. And you know, that year we were able to win the sectional. It was amazing, and that did so much to unify our school. We were one. We were Bulldogs.
100 years from now, I hope people will remember how important this small school was to a community and how close the people were to the community, and we saved things that would be interesting for people to look at that have never seen before. All the 5 schools had to decide what to do with their small school, and all of them were torn down except for Michigantown. And the Lions Club at that time, they were deciding, some people wanted to build a new community center, and some people wanted to keep this school as a community center. Thank goodness, the people that wanted to keep the school.
Our school was one of the most important things that we had. My life was surrounded by church and school. That was my life. And so be proud. Don't be afraid to show that you're proud. Don't be afraid to show enthusiasm about your school and your teachers. And
we got to get this roof fixed, we got to start windows, we got to start this. I mean, if we had to put the roof on, I might pay for it. Not always, but sometimes. And then Pat Newton was very instrumental in searching for, and Carolyn too. Carolyn and Pat working for grants, founded Community Foundation, other grants, fundraising. Of course, Linda Barn had helped us with a lot of meals and fall dinners, and over the course of a 10-year period, we raised nearly $200,000.
We've used this, or put this together for everybody to look at. And if you go down there and look at all the Clinton Central championships that they've done, there's all kinds of pictures down there.
I think if they come in and look at what we have done on the walls, I think they'll learn a lot about us.
About history that you can't read in books.
Well, I think the building is very special because of it's evolved from just a blank building that had a gym floor and a stage to a museum, and that it characterizes Clinton County very well. And I think that's worth saving.
Denny and Sam and Carolyn and Linda Barnett and all this group worked tirelessly to make this what it is today. And I would like to think that it can last for a long, long time.
In the heart of small towns, where every dribble echoes through the years, and every buzzer sounds like a promise to remember, Hoosier basketball is more than a game. It's a piece of history woven into the fabric of our communities. Its triumphs, the heartaches, and the spirit that makes us who we are. But it's not just about looking back. It's about securing these memories for future generations. The lessons learned on these courts, the friendships forged in these small schools are timeless. As long as we preserve these moments, they will continue to inspire, to teach, and to remind us of what truly matters. From the bleachers to the court, from the small towns to the hearts of Hoosiers everywhere, the Michigantown Ganders will forever live on.